The Chicago Bears are getting closer to a Sunday night showdown against the Rams, and the conversation inside the building is all about adjustments, matchups, and how this roster is coming together at the right time, with several key defenders either returning or settling into more defined roles. The coaching staff seems focused on flexibility and creating problems for the opposing offense rather than locking players into rigid assignments. One of the most intriguing storylines revolves around how the secondary is going to be deployed. The return of C.J. Gardner-Johnson adds another versatile piece to a group that already showed growth last week, especially with Kyler Gordon back on the field. The plan is not simply to plug these guys into fixed spots, but to move them around and stress the offense in different ways. There's a real possibility of seeing Gordon take snaps both inside and outside, while Gardner-Johnson could spend significant time closer to the line of scrimmage, where his instincts and physicality can shine. Down the stretch earlier in the season, Gardner-Johnson had moments where coverage in space was a challenge, particularly in isolated one-on-one situations against quick receivers. When he can play downhill, read the play, and attack, he looks like a completely different player. That is where the Bears can maximize his impact, especially against an offense led by a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, who thrives when he feels comfortable in the pocket. Expect creative pressure looks, occasional blitzes, and situations where both Gardner-Johnson and Gordon are attacking from the edges, forcing quick decisions and uncomfortable throws. This flexibility becomes even more important when you look at how the outside cornerback rotation is shaping up. Tariq Stevenson worked his way back into the mix last week and showed signs that he can be a reliable option moving forward. At the same time, Jalen Johnson and Terrell Smith both had stretches where their play noticeably improved, particularly in the second half when the game was on the line. Johnson, in particular, flashed that elite anticipation that has defined his best moments, breaking on routes, reading the quarterback, and disrupting passes at the catch point. Having multiple capable options on the outside is a luxury, especially at this stage of the season. It allows the Bears to ride the hot hand, manage snaps, and keep players fresh while also tailoring matchups to specific receivers. That depth is going to be tested against a Rams offense that features two of the most difficult wideouts to deal with on the perimeter. Both demand attention, precise technique, and constant communication from the secondary, and there is very little margin for error when facing players with that combination of size, route running, and ball skills. Beyond the defensive side of the ball, there is a growing sense of confidence surrounding the Bears' offense, particularly in late-game situations. Caleb Williams continues to show why the coaching staff trusts him when the pressure is highest. Time and again, this team has found itself in tight contests, needing composure and execution in the final moments, and Williams has consistently given them a chance to win. That belief does not come from speeches or hype, but from repeated experiences where the offense has delivered under stress. Confidence, in this context, is built through proof. The Bears have already demonstrated to themselves that they can handle adversity, respond to setbacks, and keep attacking even when momentum swings against them. Those comeback victories are not accidents. They reflect a mindset that was cultivated long before the season began, through demanding practices, attention to detail, and an emphasis on mental toughness. When games come down to the final minutes, that preparation shows up in decision-making, body language, and poise. Williams does not need to be perfect late in games. What stands out is his willingness to keep swinging, to make the next throw, and to trust both his reads and his teammates. When he has the ball with time running out, there is a sense that something positive can happen. That feeling alone changes how opponents defend and how teammates respond in critical moments, because belief spreads quickly on a football field. Special teams also deserve attention heading into this matchup, especially with the expected cold conditions at Soldier Field. Kicking and field position can quietly swing games like this, and the Bears have reason to feel steady in that phase. Cairo Santos may not have the longest range in the league, but reliability matters far more than raw distance, particularly in tough weather. When he lines up for kicks that are within his comfort zone, there's a level of trust that cannot be overstated. That trust has been earned over time, through consistent execution in difficult environments. Cold, wind, and pressure situations have not rattled him, and those points often become the difference in close games. Special teams as a whole have shown improvement over the past several weeks, from coverage units to return decisions, creating a sense of stability that allows the rest of the team to focus on their responsibilities without unnecessary anxiety. As the Bears prepare for the Rams, everything points to a game that will demand discipline, adaptability, and toughness. Defensive matchups, late-game confidence, and execution to margins are all set to play major roles. With multiple contributors returning to form and a quarterback who embraces the moment, Chicago enters this matchup believing that their best football is still ahead, and that belief is shaping how they approach every snap leading into Sunday night. As the focus shifts deeper into preparation, the injury picture adds another layer to how this game could unfold. For Chicago, the overall trend has been encouraging, especially with several players moving toward full participation and showing signs they will be available when it matters. That kind of late-week momentum is important not just for the depth chart, but for confidence inside the locker room. When players see teammates fighting back from injuries and getting back on the field, it reinforces the idea that everyone is pulling in the same direction. The return of key contributors in the secondary and along the offensive line gives the coaching staff more freedom to shape the game plan. On offense, having stability up front changes everything, particularly for a quarterback who thrives when he can step into throws and work through progressions without constant pressure. Protection does not need to be perfect, but it needs to be consistent enough to allow timing and rhythm to develop, especially against a defense that likes to disguise looks and bring pressure from different angles. At the skill positions, there is cautious optimism surrounding the availability of the top playmakers. Late in the season, it is rare for anyone to feel 100%, and managing workloads becomes just as important as raw participation. Minor issues are part of the grind, and the Bears appear comfortable balancing practice intensity with long-term readiness. The goal is simple: have everyone as close to game ready as possible without pushing past smart limits. On the other side, the Rams are dealing with questions of their own, particularly along the offensive line. One of their most important interior players is working through an injury that could significantly impact how effective they're both in pass protection and the run game. When that position is compromised, it affects everything from play calling to how quickly the quarterback is forced to get rid of the ball. Even if he suits up, there is the question of how effective he can truly be, especially against a defense that wants to attack the middle of the pocket and collapse it from the inside. Matthew Stafford's presence always changes the equation. He is experienced, decisive, and more than capable of carving up a defense if given time and clean throwing lanes. That makes the health of his protection unit even more critical. Chicago understands that pressure does not always have to come from the edges. Interior disruption can be just as damaging, forcing Stafford off his spot and limiting his ability to fully step into throws, particularly in colder conditions where grip and timing become more challenging. Cold weather itself is a variable that cannot be ignored. Soldier Field in winter has a way of influencing games beyond the chalkboard. Wind, footing, and temperature all test fundamentals, and teams that are mentally prepared for that reality often gain an edge. Ball security becomes a priority. Tackling requires extra focus, and even routine plays demand full attention. These are the moments where discipline and preparation separate teams. For Chicago, there is a growing comfort level playing in these types of environments. They have been tested repeatedly in close, physical games, and that experience carries weight. When conditions deteriorate, execution tends to simplify, and teams lean on what they trust most. That could mean leaning on the run game, trusting the defense to win field position battles, and taking points when they're available rather than chasing unnecessary risks. The Rams, meanwhile, have had their own struggles in the third phase of the game. Special teams issues can linger quietly until they suddenly become decisive, especially in a matchup where every yard matters. Field position swings, coverage lapses, or protection breakdowns on kicks can shift momentum instantly. In a cold, windy setting, those margins only grow larger, making clean execution essential. All of this builds toward a matchup that feels less about flash and more about resilience. Both teams have talent, but the outcome may hinge on which group handles adversity better when things stop going according to plan. Missed assignments, stalled drives, and sudden changes in momentum are almost inevitable. How each sideline responds in those moments will define the flow of the game. From Chicago's perspective, there is a sense that this team knows who it is. They have been in tight games, they have faced pressure late, and they have learned how to respond without panic. That identity does not guarantee a result, but it provides a foundation that becomes invaluable when the game tightens and every decision is magnified. As kickoff approaches, the Bears are not just preparing for an opponent, but for the environment, the stakes, and the inevitability of adversity that comes with a primetime battle. Another layer to watch is how Chicago balances aggression with patience on both sides of the ball. Defensively, the temptation to constantly pressure Stafford is obvious, but calculated pressure matters more than sheer volume. The Bears want to force hurried decisions without exposing the secondary to easy answers. That means disguising coverages, rotating late, and picking the right moments to send extra bodies. When that balance is right, it can completely disrupt an offense that relies on timing and rhythm. Offensively, the challenge is similar but framed differently. Sustaining drives will be critical, especially in an environment where quick 3-and-outs can quickly tilt field position. Chicago has shown an improved ability to stay on schedule, avoid negative plays, and convert in manageable situations. That patience forces the defense to defend the entire field and opens opportunities later in the game when fatigue and mental lapses start to show. The physical nature of this matchup also points to a game that could wear on both rosters as the night goes on. Tackling in the cold, fighting through blocks, and repeatedly getting up off the frozen turf takes a toll. Depth becomes more than just a luxury. It becomes a necessity. The Bears having multiple contributors ready to step in without a drop-off could quietly shape the fourth quarter, especially if the game stays within one score. Emotionally, this is the kind of game that can reveal how far a team has come. Prime time, tough opponent, unforgiving conditions, and no easy answers. Chicago has embraced these moments throughout the season, leaning into the discomfort rather than shrinking from it. That mindset does not guarantee clean execution, but it does create a team that continues to compete snap after snap, regardless of what the scoreboard says. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The Chicago Bears headquarters has been buzzing with speculation today as reports suggest that Jordan MAILATA, the towering offensive tackle known for his remarkable rise from rugby fields to NFL stardom, has arrived to finalize what insiders are calling a highly anticipated signing. While the Bears organization has remained tight-lipped, sources close to the situation hint that the move could signal a significant shift in the team's offensive strategy. MAILATA's presence at the facility has sparked intense debate among fans and analysts alike, with many questioning how his unique skill set might be integrated into an offensive line that has struggled for consistency in recent seasons. MAILATA's journey to this potential new chapter has been anything but conventional. Drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles despite a near-total lack of football experience, he quickly became one of the league's most reliable and agile tackles, impressing opponents with his combination of size, strength, and surprising footwork. If the Bears indeed secure his signature, it could mark a bold statement from the front office, signaling an aggressive push to revamp a line that has often left quarterbacks exposed. Rumors suggest that negotiations have been underway for weeks, with Chicago reportedly offering a package that acknowledges MAILATA's rare blend of athleticism and experience while positioning him as a cornerstone for the team's future. Social media has erupted with speculation, with fans dissecting every frame of video showing MAILATA entering the facility. Analysts are theorizing about the potential formations and offensive adjustments the Bears might employ to capitalize on his skill set. Some suggest that MAILATA's presence could even influence the team's draft and free agency strategy moving forward, attracting other high-profile linemen or reshaping the offensive playbook entirely. Yet, as is often the case in NFL circles, nothing is confirmed until the ink hits the contract. For now, the arrival of MAILATA at Bears headquarters is enough to send waves of excitement and a healthy dose of rumor-fueled intrigue throughout the city and beyond. Whether this move becomes a transformative signing or just another chapter in the team's ongoing search for stability, one thing is clear. The Chicago Bears may be on the cusp of a storyline that could dominate NFL chatter for months. Fans, commentators, and rival teams alike are watching closely, knowing that a player of MAILATA's caliber doesn't come along often. And when he does, speculation is inevitable. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.